Today I put a video up of, or yesterday I put a video up of these set of paring knives that I made recently, and I did one of those disgusting videos where you shave some hair off, and the nice bit where you cut paper, which everybody loves to see. Like, everybody loves the like paper cutting videos showing, look how sharp my knife is. It's very impressive and there's lots of fun, and it's probably quite wasteful, but this is my scrap drawer, so it's okay. But and then the fun stuff of shaving and all that sort of thing. So lots of people message me and ask questions about how do I get my blades to be as shaving sharp as yours. What technique are you using? What system? Like, are you using stones? Are you using belts? Are you using a Gamaco spinny job thingy? Well, the answer is kind of all of them, depending on the knife I'm making. Some I feel warrant stones, others, well, I can get an incredibly good finish on a belt, so others I finish on a belt. On my own ones at home, I tend to finish on a belt unless I'm practicing on stones, which I think is one of those things you need to continue practicing over time. So I thought I would do you wonderful people a quick, well, I'm not going to say lesson, because to be really honest, I haven't been doing it on the belts that long. I've always used stones, but found it really very easy to use on the belts and get an incredible finish. So if you've got a 48 or 72 inch grinder, it's lots of fun. Even something like the 48 inch fixed speed is probably okay, because it's probably only running about 50 hertz anyway. It's not running that fast. So here we go. So I'll start with this. This is an old knife, sort of like a shop knife I use, but it is sharp. It will shave. It's pretty awesome. So I'll blunt it, show you it's blunt, and then I will sharpen it. Normally when I grind, I would use a mask, but I'm not going to bother today because I want to talk to you guys. So what I do is I run my belt backwards, not forwards. And the reason I run it backwards is so I can hold my knife. So if it was running forwards, I have to hold my knife that way, and I just feel like I don't like, one, the idea of it spinning towards me while it's on there, because you end up with a blade in your belly, but also the angle. It's sort of a little harder for me to judge. So I run it backwards and I do it this way. Now you also can tip the actual platen back, so you get the flat almost on the top, and that will give you a more perfectly straight edge, whereas this gives you a tiny bit of an apple seed edge, like slightly convex, which I find, especially on home use kitchen knives, is a little tougher because it's ever so slightly convex, like this. So as you can see, the belt's running backwards. It's not even that fast. I'm running at 31.5 hertz. So I'm just going to blunten this blade off. Which should be pretty blunt. Doesn't cut paper at all, like not even close. And I can pretty much force it through, but as you can see, it's pretty dead. It's not going to do anything. So all I do, because of this is a kitchen knife, I want to run it about somewhere about 18 degrees, 19 degrees. So all I do is, anyone who hasn't done this before, that's 90 degrees from the belt, 45 degrees from the belt, 22.5 degrees from the belt, and then just a little bit lower. So obviously that would be different on a hunting knife or something like that. So essentially all I'm doing is I'm just getting my blade and I'm gently putting it on and running it across the grinder. I don't want to keep it on there too long because I'll overheat it. This is a finished blade. So I can see it's nice and even. Another pass at that. Other side. So then I can see, if you can see that, it's starting to put an edge on there already. So if you can see like a flat spot, any sort of shiny flat surface, it's probably still got a flat on it. So essentially, once I've knocked those edges off a little bit, I'm going to start setting up my burr. So I go and I feel for a burr. Now this could be much faster than this, obviously. Just check that it's not getting too hot, because obviously the back of my hand is the most sensitive. Obviously, like when you're grinding, you can wet this like you would if you were just grinding. Keep it cool. But I'm not keeping it on there very long, and I'm aware of how long it's on there. Right, I'm just starting to feel the burr setting on there. Got a bit of a burr in the front, not in the back yet. So even though I've got a burr in the front already, I'm still doing full passes. So I might just put a little less pressure on the front as I go. All the way across. So if you can see that edge that it's setting on there. Now there's a burr on there. I'll go back the other way. Now here, right on the tip here, you can actually see just there, see that little wisp of steel on the end? That is the burr, that's what I'm referring to. So you can actually feel that, and as it goes further on, you can actually, it's so soft you can move it. So this doesn't quite move because we're still on a higher grip, and I can feel it's hard there. It'll go a bit if I push it, but that's sort of burr we're talking about. Alright, nice burr on there. And you'll start to see the burr change. So it'll be clearly no burr, and as you go across, the burr will flip straight up. And that obviously that means it's setting the burr back to the other side, meaning that you're essentially starting to make it sort of flip-flop back and forward across, feeding that edge down further and further. Alright. So I started that on this is just a J-Flex 120 belt. This is one of the Norton structured abrasive belts, which is the X100, so it's equivalent to about 150 grit. Probably don't actually need to do this grit, so I do a couple of passes on it, and then you can jump up to the next one. So same angle again. Beautiful. All right, you can really see that burr is starting to move there now. So there's a little bit of a burr there. It actually moves under my thumb. So same thing, keep going up these progressions. This is the X45, which is equivalent to about 320. As you can see, I mean, I'm going a little slower because of the fact that I'm showing, but you can actually raw through these really quite fast. You can speed the grind up a bit too if you don't mind the noise, which I'm obviously trying to keep a little quieter so you guys can hear me. So this is the X30, which is equivalent to about 500 grit. Now that final pass, you can now see quite a sort of white line. That's actually the burr, and you can possibly see there that I can move that burr. It's so fine now. Right. So now that's actually ridiculously sharp, but obviously we've got to get rid of that burr. And now this is the thing, this is only a 500 grit belt, but when I go on stones, I tend to go up to 1,000 grit on stones. And you can now hit it on the stone, but it defeats the purpose of how fast this is gone. So I don't actually bother with that unless I'm doing very high Rockwell type kitchen knives, like 62, something like that, which I don't do very much of at all. So let's have a little look now. So the next thing I'd use is, this is just a piece of balsa wood. Now leather or whatever you want to use is fine, but I just like balsa wood for some reason or another. And good old faithful auto sole. Now I'm sure there's other options for this, but I think I got this from Jez from Jeremy Oblivion Blades, the idea of the auto sole, and I've never sort of left the idea really. I just find it does pretty much everything I want. So essentially all I'm doing is giving it a little bit of a compound, but just to take this burr off, whereas before I was at this real deep angle, I'm going a couple of degrees higher just to sort of polish this off. And obviously if you go this way, you're going to bury it into the balsa. So I tend to just put a little bit on the edge, and then all I'm doing is just stropping it off. The nice thing about balsa is, if you were to accidentally sort of go in and jab like this, you would essentially dig into the balsa. You're not going to take anything off your edge. You don't have any density there to worry about damaging the edge you've just spent those 4.5 minutes putting on. And this works for a kitchen knife, any knife really. I mean, you could do this on an axe, like I would sharpen an axe the same way. Of course, the geometry would be different of my grind. And then all I do, once I'm sort of happy with where I'm at, you can see the burr is all gone on there. No burr left now. So I'll just clean that off. Just a rag. And let's wipe that compound off. And then I'm going to put that there so there's no trickery. There's my bit of paper. I love this trick. So there's a couple of little bits there. You can see there's obviously somewhere about there somewhere. It feels like it's catching a little bit, but you can also tell if you just lay it on your fingernail, if it catches all the way along, like if it's biting in, you're probably right. If it skips, it's not. But like I could go back and just strop this a little bit more, but to be actually honest, it's not. I just don't think it needs it. It's a workshop knife. It's actually meant, this is the geometry of a kitchen knife, and it was a very early kitchen knife. In fact, I think this was probably one of the first kitchen knives I made. And my wife didn't like it because it's 1084. It's carbon steel, and she didn't like the fact that if she leaves it on the sink, it will rust. So it could do that all day long, and I can go back and I can strop that a little further to make that cut just a little more ridiculously. But like I say, I mean, I don't feel like the average kitchen user needs anything more crazy than that. Like, it's a perfectly legitimate cutting edge. All right. While I have you all here, you wonderful people. So that's just a big old chunk of balsa I got from Bunnings. Cost me, I don't know, it's a few bucks. Like you can see, I've been sharpening knives on it for some time, and I've used a tiny patch. Like there's tons of it left. Little bit of a sort of vloggy thing going on here. We've got the workshop is finally in a state of awesomeness. So I'm really, really excited about. There's still a few bits outside you can see that are left, like some belts I've got a bin and that sort of thing, and but a couple more spaces I've got to clean up. But look, you can actually walk, apart from that which Graham Askew has bought, and that which has to go on the bench, and that has to go back on my car, and that is a kiln which I think I'll sell. It's a pottery kiln, but it's exactly the same as Jez's from Oblivion Blades. He's been heat treating all his knives in for 3 years or something. It's one of those, so I'll probably sell that. Really, it's all here. Everything has a home. Very excited about it. Look at that, even organisation of the rattle cans. The awesome raincoat became a cover for the hardness tester. Even the timber managed to get a little bit of organisation, which is good. Table is, if you remember, is about half the size it was before, and it's shorter, like so, because it was just so big. It was literally double the length, and it took up so much space. It just meant I didn't have any room to really work in here, and it became unusable. But the new lathe comes on Tuesday, and the lathe will go there. No, lathe will go there. The new mill, will go there, and the table saw lives under there, which is very exciting. I think that's about it, you wonderful people. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions about how I sharpen, please ask them. Like I say, I'm not the world's best sharpener. I'm okay on stones, but I'm not amazing on stones. But I can get about as good an edge on stones as I can on a belt. So I'm sure there'll be people who argue with me, but I just do it where I feel like it. To be honest, sometimes I do it on stones, and other times I do it on the belt. It's a bit of 6 of one, half a dozen the other. So, thank you very much. Have an awesome day. And uru.
I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you.